Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Alex Fabian. I want to thank you guys so much for attending my Be Real About It podcast. One of the main reasons why I decided to do a podcast like this, right, where we talk about the real issues going on in America, in the world, and we be real about those issues, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, there is a lot of fake news that always goes around. There's a lot of stuff out there that is a lot of false information, misinformation, that every time that you turn on a channel, you hear something different. And that, I think, is the hardest part to deal with, because a lot of times people don't know what direction to go in. Do I listen to this? Do I listen to that person? Or whatever the case may be. So here at Be Real About It podcast, I want it to be the most authentic type of information that you get, so that you make your own decisions when it comes down to, you know, life and looking at different perspectives. Because here I want to talk about everything. I want to be able to talk about diet and health. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how COVID-19 is affecting Black and Brown communities, which is gonna be one of our which is gonna be episode 1, which is today, right, where we talk about those type of issues and how it affects us in our community and Black and Brown folks, right? So let's be able to talk about those type of things, right? Let's talk about relationships and how relationships affect how affects us necessarily, right? Let's talk about those type of things. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about things that just affect us in our community. That's the most important thing. That's the thing that I want people to understand the most when it comes down to my podcast. And most importantly, I want people to be real about their opinions. I want people to be real about what they have to say. And I'm not here to change your mind in any way, right? Because at the end of the day, it's impossible to change people's minds. Like, that doesn't happen. But I do want you to come in with an open mind and just have an openness about the situations and the topics and things that we're going to talk about, so that when you do make your decision and and you do talk to other people about the situations that we're talking about, it just makes the conversation so much easier, and then you have some sort of facts to go with it, right? So here at Be Real About It podcast, that's what I want to bring about the most. That's what I want my listeners to listen, my listeners to take away from what I have to say. Right, and we're honestly, we're gonna jump right into it, and let's just honestly go from there and just see ultimately how things go. And I want to thank you guys for being a part of my first episode, because I'm very, very excited about my first episode here at Be Real About It podcast. And let's have fun. Let's talk about these issues. Let's really dive deep into these issues, and let's go from there. And I think it's gonna be an amazing time that we're gonna have. All right, so let's do it. Thank you guys for attending. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys so much. All right, let's jump into first episode 1, baby. Let's go. So one of the main issues that I wanted to talk about, especially now, especially starting 2021 off right, January 1st, starting it off right, is to talk about how COVID-19 is affecting our communities, right? And it's affecting Black and Brown communities differently than everyone else in the community. So I think to myself, why are things like this happening? Why is it that Black and Brown communities are being affected more than every other community? And I just love asking questions like that and then finding out reasons why. So today I have a great nutritionist on. Her name is Helena. She's a great nutritionist. She's going to break down to me the reasons why, we're like this, or the reasons why it affects Black and Brown communities. And we're going to go from there and just see how it goes, all right? So I want to thank you guys. And yeah, let's get Helena on the line. Let's call her up. Let's see how we can get it right now. Okay, awesome. So we are live right now, which is amazing. Can you hear me perfectly fine?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Well, for a lot of you guys who don't know, I'm really, really into nutrition and things of that nature, and I love learning about how health and nutrition actually takes a role in your life and in your just pretty much everything that involves around food and how it affects you and things of that nature. So and one of the conversations that that I always have with people is being able to eat right and always try to maintain a healthy lifestyle, right? So that's really important to me. And when I'm looking at the thing that we're talking about the most when it comes down to COVID-19 is how COVID-19 is affecting Black and brown communities within our area, right? So and I always think to myself, why is it that these type of issues happen to us? Like, why is it happening? And I have someone who is the perfect person to explain to us why these things, happen within the Black and brown community, right? Why is COVID-19 affecting us more than any other people here in the United States? So I have Helena here, who's a nutritionist, who's going to introduce herself in 2 seconds, but she's, like I said, she's going to explain to us why these type of things happen to us. Hi Helena, how you doing?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on here. I appreciate you. Can you introduce yourself really, really fast?
Yes. So my name is Helena Mariscott. I am with Wellness for Life. I'm self-employed, and I do a lot of nutrition work around the metropolitan tri-state area. Also talk about mental and physical well-being.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for attending the Be Real About podcast, because this is something that starting 2021, this is something that I think we need to, dig deep into and dive deeper into what's going on, especially when it comes down to our health and our diet and things of that nature. So I've worked with you on countless occasions. So I definitely wanted you in this, and I think we're gonna have a great conversation today.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So in your opinion, what is the main reason? Like, why is it that it affects COVID-19 affects Black and brown folks harder than pretty much any other race here in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, prior to COVID, we've had this thing called chronic disease, right? Which is the underlying conditions that really COVID attacks most.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the general population of people across the country, the Black and brown community, outside of the fact they have more chronic diseases than, let's say, Caucasian communities, Asian communities, Indian communities. I mean, that's really the underlying reason. And if we were to peel back the onion even more so, why is it that the chronic disease is so high in certain ethnic groups? And a big part of it is many folks live in food deserts, right? So it's hard to find healthy food in certain neighborhoods.
Yes.
It's not like there's Whole Foods down the block.
Yes.
On one part of town, Stop and Shop on the other part of town. I mean, there are a lot of people where the only option they have for food source is bodegas and, corner convenience stores, 7-Eleven and things of that sort.
Yes.
And when you look at the foods that are provided in these convenience type of stores, they're primarily processed foods.
Yes.
And if it's not the foods that's candy bars and chips and that kind of thing, there's also the McDonald's and the Burger Kings
Oh my
and
God. Yep.
Popeye's fried chicken.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
you eat enough of that,
Yep.
and
Yep.
inevitably you're gonna get the high sodium, the saturated fats,
Yep.
the excessive sugar, fried foods. I mean, this all is what matters and what gets into the arteries
Yes.
and
Yes.
clogs and gets the heart disease and things of that sort. So I think that's really it. And then there's the other part about not having the same type of health care.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
So
course.
if someone is ill and they may not have the same means as other groups to go and get the help that they need. And even the doctors that are in certain areas will more likely prescribe a pill than prescribe a nutritious diet.
Yes. Yep. 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 100% correct. Yep. 100% correct. And you were talking about the bodegas, especially because we do live in New York, right? And the bodegas is a staple to there's there could be 10 on one block. In terms of bodegas, and not necessarily anything healthy. A lot of fried food comes from, bodegas, and you have empanadas, and you have, tostones, and you have, white rice and things of that nature. So it's white bread. You have a whole, range of different foods that are not necessarily the best thing for you, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And I would add to that, it's also the generations of foods with different cultural groups that are inherited.
Yes.
So when people say, well, diabetes runs in my family.
Yes.
Or, hypertension runs in my family. My grandparents had it, my parents had it, so therefore I must have it.
Yep.
Because it's in my bloodline. But, quite honestly, what gets inherited are the habits.
Yes.
Yes. Is it that you shouldn't deny the fact that if your parents had diabetes, that you should be on the lookout to make sure you don't have it? Absolutely.
Yes.
That's without a doubt. But it's time that, we look at what we have grown up on. If our plate is full of rice and beans, for example, versus vegetables and lean meat, that's a problem.
Yes.
If this is what makes us feel good, and it's soul food and it's comforting food, but yet we know that the saturated fat is not something we should be eating every day.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
So
Yep.
those things really matter.
Yep.
And it's really up to us to stop the inheritance of foods that are going to kill us over a period of time.
Yes. That's and oh my God, you're 100% correct when it comes down to it. I've been telling, oh my God, this has been, everyone who knows me knows that I have like a war on rice. I just do. I have a war, especially white rice. I have a war on rice. I'm just gonna be honest, because it's just there's no nutritional value that you get from white rice. If you do get nutritional value, it's gonna come from like brown rice, or it's gonna come from like wild grains, or things of that nature. That's when you get the fiber and all that other good stuff. Me personally, I like quinoa. That's what I try to introduce into my diet. But you're 100% correct when it comes down to having that type of lifestyle over periods of times, that tradition. And that's the hardest thing to break down, is that tradition that gets passed down from generation to generation. Do you see us eventually actually breaking that habit?
Well, I do think it starts with educating, and each one teach one.
Yeah.
So that if there's one person in a household that is concerned about what they eat and concerned about their health, then that one person's responsibility is to help others in their family get there. Because it's really a support group that we have to give to each other,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want 1 or 2 or 5 or 6% to look at it. Okay, yeah, white rice every day may not be best, but then you see your grandma continually doing it, and you
Yep.
see your
Yep.
aunties and your
Yep.
uncles
Yep.
continually doing it.
Yep.
So I think a big part of it, when I say education, I'm not talking about open the book and have people read, because not everybody wants to do that.
Yep. Yep.
But it could be, coming to the table, let's say for Christmas and New Year's and Christmas, Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and whenever the family gets together for a meal, come with a healthy alternative
Yes.
item,
Yeah.
to introduce people to. That's education right there,
Yes. Yes.
because they can taste that food that you bring, the healthy stuff, and say, oh,
Yep.
it's not that bad.
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know it,
Exactly.
so I think a big part of it is all of us have to take responsibility to help our loved ones to not keep going down the wrong lane,
The
the, the
wrong
the the
lane.
unhealthy lane.
Yes, yes, yep. And a lot of people don't know, which you brought up a great point, the importance of having a substitute for whatever it is that you're eating, right? It is so important. I was just having a conversation, with someone today, who they were eating. They were like, "Oh yeah, I put Domino sugars. You know that Domino was that brand Domino's. They put
Yep.
Domino sugar, in their pasta, something like that." And I was saying to myself, I'm like, Domino's. He was like, wait, it was organic or something like that. And I'm like, oh my god. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, there are sugar substitutes out there that don't affect your blood sugar levels as the Dominoes, like stevia and monk fruit and things of that nature that are still sugars, but they don't affect your blood sugar levels like the other brands they do.
Exactly. Another thing that I wanted to mention is understanding food labels,
Oh, of course, of
because
course,
most things that you buy in a box or a package
of
has a
course.
food label
Yes.
associated with it. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't look at that. They
Mhm.
look at the front where it says organic, or
Mhm.
where it says gluten free, or where it says good for you, good for your heart. And right away, it's the perception is what I'm about to eat is good,
Exactly.
because the front of the package says that it is. But
Exactly.
rarely do people
Mhm.
turn that around and say, okay, let me read the back. Let me
Yes.
look at the nutrition facts.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I do often with people, whether it's groups of people or one
Mhm.
on one, but I have them look at the container, particularly when it comes to sugary beverages, because we all love to drink,
Oh
whether
man.
it's soda, tea,
Everything.
juice, but it's consuming a lot of calories,
Yep.
and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yep.
just as an example, the back of these food labels typically start with serving size,
Yes.
right? And
Yep.
it'll say servings per container 2,
Mhm.
or servings size 1.
Mhm.
And from there on, that should be the red flag,
Yeah.
because, when it says cholesterol and sodium
Yep.
and carbohydrates and
Yep.
protein,
Yep.
it's by serving size.
Yes. Yep.
It's not the whole package.
Mhm.
It's what is the serving size you're talking, and then multiply that by 2 or 3 or
Mhm.
10.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
And here's an example, because I know a lot of people are
Mm.
familiar with it. Romaine noodles. Do you know that? Do you
Oh
know what
my
that?
God! Don't get me started with romaine. Oh my God! Please.
So romaine noodles
Ah.
is like a staple that is in many
The
households. If you
colleges. Remember you in college?
Yes,
We used to have
yes,
the closet full of those oodles and noodles. The one that comes in the cup. Oh my God.
yes, yes.
Oh my God.
But if
Yep.
you if you were to look at the label of romaine
Oh
noodles,
man.
and you read how much sodium is in romaine
Oh
noodles,
man. Yep.
right? It say something like 850
Yep.
in a cup of those of the romaine noodles,
Yep.
but actually it's half a cup. It's
Yes.
not a whole
Yes.
cup. So you have to
Yes.
multiply 850 times 2.
Exactly.
And that's what you get in a cup of romaine noodles.
Yep. Yep.
So the
Yep.
amount of sodium in that is more than you should be consuming in a whole
One
day.
day. Yep.
So
Talk
over
about it.
time, how can you not end up with hypertension, high
Yes.
blood pressure?
Yes.
It's going to happen because that's what you eat.
Yes, exactly. Heart issues. A lot of people, especially in the black and brown community, they suffer from just heart issues in general. You know,
Number one cause of death.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Number
oh
one
my
cause of
God,
death.
yeah.
But guess what's surprising with this COVID statistic?
Yeah.
The number one reason for death or underlying condition, let's say, the
Mm-hmm.
underlying condition in terms of catching COVID
Mm-hmm.
is obesity.
Oh yes, yes. Yep.
Obesity.
Yep.
Number one. I thought it would have been heart disease, but
Yep.
obesity took over.
Yep. Yep. I mean, you know,
And
you.
when you're obese and you get COVID, you're 3 times more likely to die of it.
Yep. 100% correct. 100% correct. I mean, I'm just looking at. I have some things that that I wanted to bring up, and I'm just looking at these type of statistics that they have. So, this is back in August, but it's still relevant today. When it comes down to this is from actually I got this from the CDC website and the COVID-19 database. This is actually the ones that I'm looking at right now is actually it's by Johns Hopkins University. It shows that African Americans represent only 13% of the population in states reporting racial and ethnic information. They account for about 34% of total COVID-19 deaths in those states, which is a statistic that's alarming as well. When it comes down to infection rates, let's say per 10,000, there's 62 per 10,000 compared to whites who are 23 per 10,000 to get COVID. Latinos are even more. They actually are 73 per 10,000 to get these type of COVID-19 and dying from it initially.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at why is it? Yes, a big part of what we've been talking about is nutrition, but there's also the sedentary lifestyle where there's no exercise
Yes.
that's being had,
Yep.
right? Especially, I mean, this COVID thing has been going on for 8 months now.
Yeah.
We've been on lockdown and isolation, but that doesn't mean that we should not have a minimum of 30 minutes exercise a day.
Minimum.
A day.
Yeah, minimum.
A day. And if you were to go out to the parks, as cold as it is outside right now, right this minute, as cold as it is, look and see who's jogging.
Yep.
Look and see who's taking their daily walk. It's not black and brown people that's out there.
Lying. I'm be straight. You are telling 100% truth.
So it's lifestyle. And then let's talk about the mental side of it. COVID has taken people out just through stress.
Yep.
The stress has always been the case.
Yep.
But right now, when you think about all these concerns that are going on, like we've got to take care of our mind just as well as we take care of our body.
Yep. That's 100% correct.
And what does that mean? Like how do you take care of your mind? Like what does that look like? It looks like, for example, exercise and your mental health, they go hand in hand.
Yep.
Try taking a walk after a stressful day, and you come back and you feel like you feel better.
Yep.
You feel better. It just does something to your mental psyche.
Yep.
Some people think meditation is a joke. They can't get into it. It's not their thing.
I hear that all the time. Yep.
Yes, meditation is huge for self-care.
Yep.
Also taking a break from social media.
Yep.
and being on the news all day listening to COVID, like that can't be good for you, for your body or your mind.
Yep, that's 100% correct. I tell people all the time, you have to turn off the news, especially when it comes to COVID-19. You have to turn off the news at least. I tell people, if you're not, you have to take a minimum of 45-minute long walks. I don't care if you do it in the morning, if you do it at nighttime. I do it personally 2 times a day. I do it once in the morning, and then I do it once at nighttime. I have to. My body won't allow me to sit down for a long period of time. So, and every single time I come back from those walks, I feel so much better. I feel just a lot lighter. I just feel so much better. I feel I can think better. I'm clear when it comes down to my thoughts, and it's just about just getting some sort of exercise in, which is 100% correct what you were saying. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and that also, I mean, exercise is different for different people, depending on, if you have like ailments, joint problems, or, maybe you can't go jog, maybe you can't, but there's always something you can do to keep you moving, and something that'll keep you consistent, because consistency is the key.
Yes.
Just doing it every blue moon, that's not enough.
Nope. And that's not going to get you to where your goal is and things that you want to accomplish necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to also talk about sleep. Can I?
Of course.
Can I talk about that?
Of course. Yes. Let's talk about it.
Because sleep is so important.
Huge.
I mean, now more than ever with the COVID, the sleep matters. It boosts your immune system to fight off the virus.
Yep.
And a lot of people are doing less sleep now than ever before.
Yep. Why is that? Why is that?
Because they're stressed, because they're up all night, they're not on regular schedules. This has really disturbed our whole lifestyle. So people tend to not be on any kind of structured schedule. I mean, do you ever sometimes wake up and say, what is today? Versus, like, especially people who are working from home. Every day feels like the same thing.
The same day. Oh my God, tell me about it.
Also, sleep minimizes food cravings. So for people who have like a sweet tooth, and always want to go and find something salty or sweet, if you get more sleep, you find that it's going to help in that regard.
Yep.
It increases your metabolism.
Yep. 100%.
You're trying to burn calories. Try sleeping more.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. I want to bring up a point that you made earlier, and this is what I was thinking. When one of my coworkers was talking about, being home and not knowing their schedule, or being every day is exactly the same. When it comes down to nutrition and actually not being able to eat out as much as you can, right? I see a lot of people gaining weight while they're at home, right? Shouldn't it be the opposite now, that you're actually able to like cook real food and to use real ingredients when you go to the Stop and Shop or Whole Foods and things of that nature? When you go there and then you come back home and you actually cook food, you're not having this processed chicken and all these crazy oils that they put, the MSG and all that other stuff that they put inside these foods. So shouldn't it be the opposite now that people are actually being home and actually being able to cook their food?
Well, yes and no. I think having the opportunity to cook versus buying lunch and breakfast out on the run, definitely there should be more of a reason to have whole foods. But, I always say that it's not always what you eat, it's what's eating you.
Gotcha.
So what is it that's causing you to eat the wrong foods when you're home, when you know that you have a better choice?
Yes.
And a big part of it is boredom.
Yeah. People do eat when they're bored. Yep. People definitely.
it falls under the mindful eating category. Stressful eating.
Yep. Yep.
Also because the schedules are so kind of out of whack,
Yeah.
they'll eat at 12 o'clock at night
Yeah.
versus giving your digestive system enough time
Yes.
to burn off the calories before you go to sleep. They're eating throughout the day, around the clock. There wasn't like just breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep.
There's breakfast, there's middle of the day breakfast, then there's lunch, and middle of the day lunch, and then there's dinner, and then there's after dinner snack, and then there's dessert and the baked cookies.
Oh my God, everything.
So I think that's what's happening. So a big part of it is not being on a schedule, and so therefore your food intake is way more than what the normal calories would be. But the key to that really is to bring only the good stuff into your house, into your fridge.
Exactly.
So keep the chips out, the cookies out, the ice cream out. Don't bring that stuff in the home, so that when you need to snack, you got nuts, you've got grapes, you've got mangoes, you've got apples and foods that are in season.
Yep.
So that if you're gonna snack, you're gonna snack on healthy stuff.
Exactly.
Don't bring the soda in the house. Leave that out.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started with soda. I don't even know how they're still in service. I don't even know how these people still exist. To be really honest.
You made the comment about people should be cooking more. I think people who are cooking more are people who like to cook.
Gotcha.
Right? But not everybody likes to cook, so they may be bringing the convenience frozen food. And putting it in the microwave and warming that up.
Yep.
As opposed to making food from scratch.
Yep. And then it goes back to what you were saying about reading the labels and finding out what's actually in the foods that you are cooking and things that are happening. Yeah. I mean, that's 100% correct too. Give me 1 second, all right? Give me 1 second. Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. So, I agree with everything you have said. I 100% agree. I couldn't agree even more actually. And so what are some of the things that we can be doing to necessarily get healthier and to eat better and things of that nature? Like, what are some of the steps that we could do, that could be doing?
Okay, well, the first thing is to avoid the convenience foods, because that's where you're really under attack.
Yeah.
So, spending some time going to the supermarket and going into the sections of the supermarket that doesn't have the big no-nos. And one thing I would say about that is, as if that's something people will remember, is when you're shopping for food in the supermarket, shop the perimeter. Shop the veggies and fruit section, the seafood, the meats, the eggs, the butter, the cheese. Don't go into the condiment section, the canned foods, the beverages, the sugary beverages, the sugary cereals. Stay out of those areas.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
So now we're talking whole foods, having a whole food diet, because I'm not a advocate of diets.
Okay.
I do not think diets work because they're not self-sustaining. You know, you go on a diet for a period of time and then you go back to your same ways.
Yeah.
So, so really look for um, a consistent whole food diet that's as much close to earthy type foods than canned foods and prepackaged foods.
Yeah.
That will help immensely.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that with COVID, it's not just a health thing, but it's an economic thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are struggling to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, sometimes it comes down to, hey, I got to eat, and
Yes. Yes.
whatever I can afford is what I'm going to get.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, because of the, you know, purely economics.
Yeah.
So even when you're on a budget and you're trying to stay healthy, you know, there are things that you can do to save money, because processed foods like McDonald's and Burger King, that is not cheap.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
It's expensive to eat those foods. It's cheaper to, you know, to get you know, food that can feed 4 or 5 people under $10 if you make it at home than going to McDonald's for it.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So yeah, so there's that piece.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say is you don't need to be in a gym to stay active.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, just because you're not in a gym doesn't mean that you have to sit there eating bonbons in front of a television watching Jerry Springer. That's not cool.
Not at all.
So like I had said before, you know, put as a reminder and even time it. Did I get at least 30 minutes of exercise a day? I think anybody can do 30 minutes. Anybody.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
It's not asking for too much, 30 minutes. You know, I'm just keeping it real. If you can do an hour and a half, beautiful.
Yep.
But if you can't, I think that can make a huge difference.
Yep.
Getting the sleep, like I said, could make a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, also, I'm such an advocate on the mental side. I think that people are not connecting with one another. Isolation versus quarantine are not the same.
Yeah.
But people are making it the same. They're saying, okay, well, I have to be in quarantine and social distance, so therefore I don't pick up the phone and call and connect and say I need help. I'm not doing good. I'm not doing all right.
Yeah.
That is a critical part, and of you know, in other neighborhoods, with people who have money can afford to go see a mental health therapist.
Yep.
If they're having a real hard time with it. But, you know, for the average Joe Schmo, there's no money to pay for a health therapist.
Yep, that is 100% correct.
You know, so we only have each other. That's all we have.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, oh my God. Yeah. You're 100% correct. The reason why, I mean, I've dealt with seeing nutritionists and things of that nature, and they're definitely not cheap when it comes down to it. Yeah.
No. The other thing, to answer your question as well, is for those who do have underlying health conditions, be it diabetes, hypertension, blood pressure. You've got doctors working for you. Yeah. You know, you go and you see your doctor. You have to manage your own chronic disease. You can't just put it in their hands.
Exactly.
And then they tell you, okay, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like, you have to manage your doctor team. You have to come already with questions in mind that are concerning you. It's always good to have somebody come with you as well, because sometimes you get so overwhelmed with these guys in the white jackets that you kind of forget that, okay, they're real people.
Yes.
You know, and they have 15, 20 minutes to deal with you, and then they have to move on to the next patient.
Exactly. And that's
so
it.
I think it's very important, if you have underlying conditions, to manage your doctors. Deal with only one pharmacy. If you're gonna pick up pills for whatever, don't go to Walgreens for this, CVS for that, Rite Aid for this. You should have one pharmacist dealing with all your medications.
Yep.
So that way, if something doesn't seem right, whether it's dosage or whether it's, excessive more than you should, those pharmacists will help you and be your advocate.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely. I mean, yeah, it's hugely important as well. When it comes down to it, I make sure that I have one pharmacist for my mom. Anytime that, or just having one pharmacist, period. Anytime that I need something, I already know. I go to Joe. Joe knows me. I know Joe. I've been knowing Joe for a long time, and that's the person who I go to.
Yes, yes. So I think that's also important. If you notice throughout our talk, the big headline is that health is holistic. It's not just one thing.
Exactly.
There's many things that kind of fall under what it means to be healthy. Yeah. And so to have one part working, and the other part not working, there's going to be an imbalance, and then you don't see results, and then you find sickness instead of, healthy. So I look at it as nutrition is, yes, very, very important. What you're eating on a regular basis is critical to your health. But then there are other things that need to be looked at just as important, like the exercise, like the sleep, like the, the self-care part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things is what makes you a healthy person.
Exactly. Yeah. And doing a little bit of research about things too, like you know what I mean. So what I'm starting to read for January 1st, 2021, is a book called The Blood Sugar Solution. It's by Mark Hyman.
Oh, I love Mark Hyman.
Yes, right. He's amazing. Yes. Yep, he's amazing. Yes. So it's called The Blood Sugar Solution. It's the ultra healthy program for losing weight, preventing disease, and feeling great now. So that's the one that I'm starting to read, for the new year. And anyone out there, I mean, let's start this year off on a positive, more vibrant vibe. Let's not focus on what we did in 2020 or 5 years ago. We can change the way we do things now, today, with small changes, and then graduating to bigger changes, and then that leads to better health and better ways on viewing things, and ultimately feeling better. Because honestly, that's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to feel better. They want to feel like they have more energy. They want to feel, great. They want to look great. Most importantly, if you're not, happy with how you look, when it comes to your mirror and how you look in the mirror, then you can definitely change that. It just takes a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of, just a little bit of reading and just understanding the foods that you're putting inside your body. Most importantly, that's how we conquer COVID-19. That's how we get better and we get our power back, is by ultimately eating better and surviving.
And if I could mention, from a supplement standpoint, two supplements that I would highly recommend.
Yes.
Because our bodies just don't make enough of it.
Yes.
And one is vitamin D.
Oh,
vitamin D3.
Yes.
Highly recommend that, especially during these COVID times.
Yes.
We really need it.
Huge.
Magnesium.
Yes.
That's a mineral that our bodies don't produce much of, and we don't get it enough in our food. And many people, particularly in the Black and brown community, are magnesium deficient and vitamin D deficient.
Yes, hugely. Oh my God, and of course, during the winter times and the fall, where we're not outside as much, I strongly encourage people to take vitamin D3. It's such an important vitamin to have. A lot of people don't even call it a vitamin. A lot of people call it a hormone. That's how powerful, vitamin D3 is, from what I've heard, and just the research that I've done. It's so important for your immune system. when it comes down to just keeping yourself healthy, and especially for COVID-19. If you don't believe me, go out there and just read some of the things that COVID-19 is doing with, with vitamin D3, and just do your own research and just see what pops up. And I guarantee you're going to find a lot of things, a lot of correlation that vitamin D3 and zinc and magnesium have with just viruses in general, especially COVID-19.
Absolutely. I mean, vitamin C is another
Huge.
good one also.
Yeah.
And we can get that in foods, but if you're not eating the right foods, then you're not getting enough of it.
Exactly. Yep.
Exactly. So zinc, especially during the cold months.
Yes.
That's another recommended one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I take, which a lot of people may not be aware of, is oil of oregano.
Oh, yes. Huge.
That really helps with your lungs,
mm-hmm.
And it helps in general fight off viruses. So
it's an antibiotic.
Mm-hmm. It's an
antibiotic.
What else? Turmeric.
Yes, of course. You need the turmeric. Yes.
Anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big issues with the with COVID patients is inflammation.
Yes.
The inflammation around the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't want to eat foods that are not anti-inflammatory. We want to make sure, and turmeric is great. You add that to your smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the root. The root part of it is what I get because it's the most potent part.
Yeah.
Put in the blender and
mm-hmm.
blend it up.
Yep.
And then I have turmeric powder that I put in my food as I'm cooking.
Nice. Yes. Turmeric is definitely, you can take it as a supplement if you want. Those are definitely always good. I mean, I consume all of that. I love turmeric. I definitely, take those in capsules. A lot of people use the oil of oregano. I definitely take that. I usually take that in some water and just, take it down. So all of that is definitely very important. Definitely.
And less alcohol too. That lowers the immune system. So all the good stuff you're doing, every time you have some alcohol, it brings the immune system down.
Brings it down. Yep. 100% correct. Yep, you're 100% correct. So we have to definitely limit ourselves when it comes down to that, and just try to be better for 2021. Well,
exactly.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you so much for having this amazing conversation with me, and to all the listeners who are listening to this podcast. I think it's very important that we really, take notice in terms of what we're doing and how we can just better off, just be better as people, and just all the important things that we're taking into our bodies. So thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming on.
Absolutely. And I wish everyone a great New Year's, a safe and healthy 2021.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Have a good one.
All right. Likewise. You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right, so there you go. You heard it yourself when it comes down to it. You heard the nutritionist, Helena. She's an awesome nutritionist. I've worked with her on, for a couple years now, so she's great. She understands, she understands how important these conversations are. She understands the great aspects of how it affects the Black and brown community, and she's just an awesome person just overall. So, but there you go, she just dropped the gems for you guys. All right, she just dropped some really good gems, and what else can we do? We can take the information that we got and we can apply it to our lives, right? That's what ultimately it's about. It's about applying the information that you get in life and applying it to yourself. So you just got some amazing information from her, and just apply it. See how it goes. See how it makes you feel, and just go from there. You know, so that was definitely awesome. So I want to thank her so much for doing that. Again, the book that I'm reading for January 1, 2020 is this book. It's called The Blood Sugar Solution. It's by Mark Hyman. He's one of the celebrity nutritionists out here, and it's an amazing. I heard it was an amazing book, so we're gonna read that, and we're gonna see how it goes, and we're gonna take some of the steps that that he shows inside the book, and we're gonna go from there, right? And yeah, so there you go in a nutshell, right? COVID-19, how it affects the Black and brown community, why it affects the Black and brown community when it comes down to what we eat, the lack of exercise, the processed foods that we eat, all those bad stuff, the bad oils that we cook our tostones in. Make sure you're not I'm not gonna bash anyone, but please don't use those type of bad oils. If you're gonna use some good oils, use some avocado oil, or use some olive oil and things of that nature. Those are really good oils for you to consume. So they're a lot better than the corn oils and things of that nature. So don't use those type of oils. Not good for you, right? They cause a lot of inflammation inside the body. So so there you go. COVID-19, right? How can we beat COVID-19? Follow those steps. Make sure you're getting 45 minutes. Helena said 30 minutes. I like 45 minutes. I do 45 minutes. So make sure that you do the 45 minutes a day at least. Making sure that you're sleeping right. Like she said, sleep is very important. And if you're not sleeping, find out why you're not sleeping if that's the case. The alcohol consumption. Everybody wants to turn up now. Everybody wants to, there's nowhere to go. It's COVID, you know what I mean? Stop, the crazy, drinking every single night and things of that nature just because you can and just because you're at home. It doesn't make any sense to do it every single night. If you're going to do it once, a week or whatever the case may be, indulge, of course. Do what you do. But just try to keep it as to a minimum as possible, because like she said, it does lower your immune system and things of that nature. Just making sure that you're eating the right foods and all that good stuff as well. So there you go. You heard it from a professional. I just bring you the information. It's your turn to take it in and go from there and see how it makes you feel, right? So I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of episode 1. I want to wish you guys, like I said, a very happy new year, 2021. We're here, and hopefully it's a great year for everyone out there. Just be positive. Be the best person that you can be every single year, like I said before, and just go from there, right? And I'm wishing you guys a very, very happy new year. Thank you guys. Episode 1, we did it. We finished. Let's go. Thank you.